Hi, hello. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. By the way, our next guest, Senator Bill Cassidy, joins us. Bill, I didn't see you at the LSU game strolling the little baby this time. I saw you last year during the I saw you last year during the Alabama LSU game. You had a stroller. I think you had a stroller with a little baby.
Well, that little baby's bigger now, so he can actually walk and object. But he enjoyed the game, you know what I'm saying? Actually, we go to the game, Moon, and he's 5 years old, so I can keep him happy with popcorn for a little bit, but then he starts climbing all over everybody. I got to leave at halftime. So I left at home this time. I wasn't sure the game would be over at halftime, and it wasn't. No, it
ended up being a good game. All right, Bill, governor's race, and I think we got a barn burner. I think we got a chance to win. We got a chance to change the leader. Just your thoughts on the governor's race. And the reason I'm bringing that up first, I want to go into Medicaid with you, and I know you're trying to do something, but I want to talk a little bit about the rules and regulations of that. But in the governor's race, are you endorsing? Are you involved? What's going on?
We've already endorsed. We'll be at the vice president's coming in today. We'll meet him at the airport, go with him to the responding function. The thing we can say is that I'm told by pollsters about 12% of the John Bel Edwards vote is from people who support President Trump. So the challenge, if you will, is twofold. How do you make sure that someone who votes for Trump votes for responding? Secondly, how do you make sure that somebody who voted for Abraham comes out and votes for responding?
Uh-huh.
And those are the two challenges to a Republican victory.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Well, I think that, I'm a little different. I think it's an uphill climb for Edwards now. But I think what you just said, the Trump voters vote for the Trump candidate, which is Eddie Rispone, then we win the race, and he can't win it. But if they don't go vote or they vote the other way, yeah, that makes that's a challenging thing at that point.
Well, I'm told that the governor's spending a lot of time in North Louisiana courting Abraham voters, and obviously he's going to spend a lot of time in Orleans because Orleans' turnout was pretty poor.
Yeah.
So he's got an upside. John Kuvion did a great piece about how a Monroe doctor had ran for office against a Democrat. A Democrat got 48% of the vote. The next two Republicans combined for 52%. But the Democrat turned out Orleans Parish, and the Monroe doctor's voters didn't show up, and the Democrat won. And what he's talking about is Mary Landrieu and Susie Hyde Terrell and John Cooksey.
Mm-hmm.
So, that can happen, man, so we cannot rest on laurels.
Oh, no. It ain't over till it's over. Early voting starts Saturday, Bill, runs from the 2nd to the 9th. We did a great job. I said people go and vote. If we do it again, the momentum's ours. But if early voting changes, and all of a sudden more Democrats are going to vote, more liberals are going to vote, more black vote than white votes go and vote, then the momentum swings back to Bel Edwards for Election Day. So I'm curious when we get to the end of early voting, who goes vote. It will matter. And I don't want people to miss out because duck season opens November 16th. And a lot of people are going duck hunting and duck camps and things of that nature. And they need to vote before they go.
And the example I use, Steve Carter and Franklin Foyle, two good Republicans, ran against Beverly Thompson, who's a Democrat here in Baton Rouge area. And Franklin won second place, beating Steve by 3 votes.
Yeah, it was all in nothing.
You may think you don't matter. That was 3 votes that made a difference. So grab your spouse, grab your son, and grab your daughter and bring them to vote because those 3 votes may make a difference.
Now, I want to go into Medicaid with you. I know you're trying to save money. Before I get to that, explain some stuff to us. I know we expanded Medicaid. Okay. And the newspapers are writing how I even saw an ad, an Edwards ad that said, Responding wants to take 300,000 people off of Medicaid. And I thought, whoa. Bill, when we get money for Medicaid, explain to people how it works. Is there not rules to follow with Medicaid? You really can't take somebody off Medicaid unless they don't qualify. You can't go. They're making this commercials, making it sound like that the election of Rispone can go in there and just take all these people off Medicaid. It doesn't work that way. Am I correct?
You're correct. What they're assuming is Eddie going to pull back on the Medicaid expansion, and I don't think Eddie has said that.
He never said that.
Yeah, so they're saying he does away with the expansion. Now, what we can say is that Medicaid is cannibalizing the rest of the budget. And
Correct.
if you look at the road building in Texas, for example, they're building more superhighways in Houston area than Texas, Arkansas, and Louisiana put together. Sorry, Arkansas, Mississippi, and Louisiana put together. And so I tell folks, what are you going to do more for a kid? Are you going to make education more affordable for him? If he goes to higher education, you're going to build an infrastructure so he can get a better job. Are you going to redo your tax code so that business and job creators set up in Louisiana instead of setting up in Texas? Or are you going to throw more money at hospitals for Medicaid? I say this as a doctor. You got to have jobs that create economic opportunity for folks, whether rich or poor, to stay in our state. And I think Eddie has that vision. He's not doing away with Medicaid expansion, but he is going to kind of say, how do we create better jobs for people?
Okay, but don't you also agree that, there is fraud, there's waste. Even through Governor Edwards, we've taken 50, 60, 70,000 people off the rolls. And what I mean by that is that people that didn't qualify, they were on the rolls and they shouldn't. There's nothing wrong with that. So, but they're twisting this commercial to make it so they're going to take all these people off. Edwards and him have been bragging, well, since we had to change, we took 50,000 off and 40,000 off. So I guess what I'm saying is you can't take somebody off that qualifies for it, okay, because we're getting federal money for it, but you can take people off who don't qualify. They're making it sound like those people need to stay on there, but you would agree that's a waste of money. We could be putting that into something else for somebody that doesn't qualify. And you're right. A good job probably means good health care.
And a lot of folks who are on Medicaid formerly had private insurance, and they dropped their private insurance to go on Medicaid.
Correct.
Now, that means taxpayers are now footing the bill as opposed to the person who previously, through their job or through their, paycheck paid for it. And I'm all about people getting health care, but I don't feel good about sticking it to taxpayers when there's other means by which to obtain that coverage.
Yeah, see, so you're basically saying what I'm saying in a different way. You're all for the people getting help that deserve it. Poor people who have nothing. We understand that. What you're not for is for people that make $100,000 a year getting it, like the 1,600 people that did under Bell Edwards. And there's some fraud and there's some abuse. And if the money's not being spent properly, you're for finding out where it's going so we can correct that as well. That's basically all we're saying here. I mean, what's wrong with that?
Nothing.
But they acting, look at the commercial. I think the commercial said he wants to cut 300,000 people off Medicaid. Well, when did he say that? Nobody ever said that.
Well, there's a lot of commercials being cut right now that are a lot of commercials being cut right now, which you kind of tread on the edge of truth.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Is Senator Bill Cassidy. Bill, when we get back, let me take a break. We'll talk about how you saved $3.1 billion dealing with Medicaid and things of that nature. When we get back, Senator Bill Cassidy joins us. He is all in with Risponi and Dorstein. And anyway, we'll take a break. Be right back. Yeah. Hi, y'all. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Senator Bill Cassidy, my special guest. 844-766-6607. Hickson has it hotline if you'd like to be part of the program. All right, Bill, you have been trying to work on some stuff dealing with Medicaid, and I think you said you saved the country $3.1 billion. Talk about what you're doing. Hold up.
Very closely with President Trump on a variety of issues. This is one thing he signed into law recently, but paid family leave he's really into. He's tasked me to work on Medicaid, on healthcare in general and drug costs in particular, and Medicaid in particular. So this is one example of something we've accomplished the president has signed into law. And there was a loophole by which pharmaceutical companies were not rebating to Medicaid programs. It amounted to $3.1 billion. That's with a B. Even in Washington, that's a lot of money. So we got legislation through about 3 weeks ago. The president signed it into law. We got to lower drug costs at the pharmacy counter, at where we pay our taxes, and this is one that lowers it where we pay our taxes.
Okay, so in other words, the loophole, you're closing the loophole to save some money.
Yep, and there are a lot of loopholes. When the president said he wanted to drain the swamp, There are a lot of swampy loopholes.
Yeah.
I think you give swamps a bad name because I'm from Louisiana.
Yeah.
But point being, this is part of that effort. And every now and then folks say nothing. In fact, all the time folks say nothing good happens in Washington. The president can't get any cooperation. This is an example where we got cooperation, helped drain the swamp, something good happened.
All right, let's jump gears. Democrats want to change the 2016 election. And everybody knows they're trying to impeach the president or do whatever else they can do. I mean, this has been nonstop for 3 years. You think the American public is sick of this? I mean, I am, but then I don't like polls because polls, they could be all over the place. But the point being is, what are they doing? What are they really trying to do besides blow up an election where they got beat?
Moon, the first on the day the president was sworn in, January 17th, 2017, Washington Post had a headline, "Effort to impeach Trump begins." Now, the guy had not taken the oath of office, and there's a headline, "Effort to impeach Trump begins." And so the president's been fighting this since it started. If you look at polling, the American people want something good to happen. That's why I mentioned, for example, the $3.1 billion. We're actually getting stuff done. But if the House sends over these orders of impeachment by our Constitution, that just crowds everything else out. We're not working on lowering drug costs. We're not working on addressing surprise medical billing, on how do we reform Medicaid and Medicare to preserve benefits for those who are on it, but make sure they don't go bankrupt for those who are going to be. It's going to be totally crowded out. So when Adam Schiff and Pelosi think they're doing some wise political move, I look at it and say, opportunity cost, not working on the American people's business. We're working on their political goals. And I think many Americans agree with that.
How can they do so much stuff behind the scenes, don't include the Republicans, and yet if they come out with anything that they want to come out with, nobody's going to have any facts in front of them. We just got to believe the media. And I'll be honest with you, Bill, there's not many things the media writes that I believe.
When you see the Washington Post or the New York Times, like that whole total hit piece on Brett Kavanaugh, where the Times, New York Times, said, this woman, he assaulted this woman, but the woman denied it. I mean, they're writing something, but they never mention that the woman denied it. It's just, they become part of the resistance. At least that's the perception of many Americans. And they just lost their credibility. So this is going to divide the American people even more. And I haven't seen anything which suggests that the president did something which is a high crime and misdemeanor. But that doesn't mean they're not going to try and stretch it out.
Oh, there's no doubt about him. But I've seen this backfire before. And I think it'll backfire again. As a matter of fact, Trump and the Republican Party are raising a vast amount of money because of this, and yet the Democrat Party is not. As a matter of fact, last I looked, there was seven. Hey, there's Brandon right there. There's a commercial right there. Would take health care from around 300,000 people. That was the commercial I was telling you about, Bill. It's on TV right now. This outright lie paid for by John Bel Edwards, and that was the spot I was telling you. But anyway, so you got the Republicans have about $59 million in the bank, and the Democrats are negative $7 million in the bank. And that tells you right there that people don't agree with what they're trying to do.
But I will tell you, if you're just talking about fundraising, actually the Dems may be on it. They have a program called Act Blue. And so in this case, people they donate to a website, but it goes to the candidate they designate. And their candidates are raising all kinds of money. The Republican equivalent only started as last year. We call ours Win Red, and the president has endorsed it. But if you look at what a Beto O'Rourke is raising, or Pete Buttigieg running for president, they're raising incredible sums of money from small donations, relatively small donations. And so let's not underestimate it, Moon. They are raising lots of money when it comes to their individual candidates.
Well, they may be. I'm just looking at the overall party. The parties wouldn't get much, and I know the Republican Party took a record in September, and I got to believe it's bogus. All right, Bill, let's take a phone call. Let's go to the folks on the calls. Got to be quick with your question. Willie and Calhoun, question or comment for Senator Bill Cassidy.
Yeah, thank you, Moon. Senator Senator Cassidy. I take a statin for my cholesterol, and it's a generic. Now, can we? This drug all of a sudden is about as small as a pinhead. Is anybody checking these drugs that Medicare gets to make sure that they are correct, being that they're being made in foreign countries now?
So the FDA is the one that guarantees purity of the drug. So yes, the FDA is going to do that. There are concerns about drugs made in foreign countries that we don't inspect them often enough, that they know when we're coming, so they sweep everything up, and then we leave, our inspectors leave, and when our inspectors leave, then, it's a mess. So on the other hand, I've not read of a medicine coming over here and not being able to do that which it is supposed to do. So I'd take your statin, I'd save your money, but on the other hand, we are trying to make sure that the FDA does its job.
Thank you very much, sir.
All right, well, appreciate it.
Thanks, Will.
Yeah, I would think that would concern anybody that's taking any kind of medication.
Oh, yeah. And you want to make sure that when we inspect some plant in India and China, that they're doing well. But again, what I hear is that we have to notify them that we're coming. Well, what happens? They clean everything up. Somebody with an American passport comes into town, and the owner is notified, code red, let's get everything straight, and then they leave, and then it goes back to having conditions that we don't approve of. So we got that tension. How do we keep drugs affordable, but how do we make sure they're safe? And that's what we're pushing to make sure it happens.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Senator Bill Cassidy, my special guest. Well, Bill, it's a big fight, but yourself, and I know you're in for election next year, but the bottom line is we have a federal election. We have I said federal election. All elections are still in the state. A presidential election, you're up. Any way to tell what's going to happen next year? Are we so far out, it's no way to tell? Republicans hold the Senate. They hold the Senate and some.
I don't know. I don't know that. We got 23 Republicans up. I mentioned earlier how Democratic candidates are raising all kinds of money through their website, Act Blue. We need our folks to weigh in through our website called Win Red. But the whole Trump impeachment has as a secondary goal, how do you erode support for Republicans running for office in the House and the Senate? And we got 23 folks up. So if they erode that support, then frankly, we end up in a tough situation. And the president, even if not impeached, is left with a House and a Senate, which is governed by Pelosi and Schumer, and that will not do the American people's business.
Oh, no doubt about it. But I think Trump on the ballot is going to help Republicans because impeachment, it's still got to go through the Senate. You still have to have trials through your deal. I think this comes back to haunt the left. And I just don't see where, people like me, I'm not voting from the left. I know what they're trying to do to this country.
Well, the way to know is if they continue to drag it out, that means that in states like Colorado and Maine, it's helping Democratic candidates. If they suddenly wrap it up and say, oh, nope, it was a mulligan, shouldn't have done it after all, that shows you that in those particular states in North Carolina, that it's hurting them.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, Senator, thank you for everything. God bless. Wish you the best of luck.
Thank you, Moon.
All right, I'll take a break. We'll be right back.